Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and I am joined today by my brother, the Gritty Broman, behind the camera. How are you, Brent?
I'm well, thank you.
Right on. So today's podcast, we are going to talk a little bit about this recent bear hunt, the gear that I took, some of the gear I took. Just off the top of my head, we're just going to rattle. This should be about a half-hour show, although I tend to ramble, so it might be a little more than that. One of the questions that popped up in our discussion, in my gear dump that I did, was the backpack, which I just dropped a podcast on the other day, the Initial Ascent backpack. Long story short, go check out that podcast. There's two. I did one with the founders, the owners, Dennis and Joe, and how they came up with their design, a little entrepreneur discussion, a little bit of design philosophy, and kind of the problems that they were trying to solve in backpack fit and performance, and the way that they did that. And then I tested it, and there's another follow-up podcast to that where I actually used it for a month, hardcore, used the Initial Ascent backpack, and I just came back and reported my experience with it. Long story short, I'm a big fan of the pack. I think it's an excellent backpack. I think you have some leading packs on the market right now, probably in that top tier. You have your Stone Glacier, which we've been using quite a bit. You have your EXO mountain pack. I'd say Kafaru's in that mix. You've got, I would argue Mystery Ranch, not so much. It's a great pack, but I wouldn't put it in that top performance group. I'm going to test the Seek Outside backpack. Haven't got around to that yet, so I don't really have much to say on that. And I would put the Initial Ascent up there really high among those packs as well. The thing about the Initial Ascent that makes it different than all the rest, one of the things that makes it different than all the rest is how it carries the load squarely on your hips, better than any other pack I've ever used. By far. It really doesn't put much pressure on your back at all. It's a stiffer pack, so when the pack is light and doesn't have a lot in it, I run the straps pretty loose so that I can just move around, and it still rides on the hips. I mean, most of the weight carries there. I would argue that the heavier the load, the more the Initial Ascent shines. I like the overall design. I like the top pocket. There's so many cool things about it. And I'm going to continue working with those guys as long as they're willing to listen and they're willing to make some changes and get some things modified on it. I think it's a great foundation on which they're going to continue to improve. It's awesome. I love it. I actually said this on the show. It seems to carry better. Like, it feels like the loads are a lot lighter than they really are. And it's not just me. There's guys that have raced and competed in backpack competitions like Dave Baronio, who was blown away. He ditched the pack he had been using and was like, yeah, I'm all in over here. I'm not going to talk about which pack he had been using because I don't want to cause a fight. But in the early train to hunt competitions, he had one pack. Later, he was blown away by the performance of the Initial Ascent pack. He didn't know the owners from Adam. And he doesn't get anything out of it. He has no reason to switch other than when he loaded it with 100 pounds and ran the race, he was like, holy crap, this is incredible.
Well, his backpack broke.
I think it also,
something happened to the strap or something like that, or the hip belt.
Right. I think it was that he couldn't get it comfortable or get it fitting right on the hip belt. I don't believe it broke. I don't recall. You listened to it more recently than I did because we recorded a month ago. But the pack he had wasn't working with that kind of load. And I get it. I've done it too. I've run when you get up in heavy loads. And the one thing about packs that tell you that people say run on your hips and run on your lower body, I've run a lot of them, and they actually fatigue my lower body. I think it's the blood flow restriction, like to get it tight, or maybe it doesn't quite. It needs to be up on your shoulders or your chest a little bit so that it fits right. but not with the initial ascent. It can go right on those hips and it just carries right over them. It's crazy. Feels good. Feels really good. So I'm impressed with the pack. So that's one piece of gear I used, and they're cool. They contacted us and said, hey, we're glad you're using it. And they told us for everyone that wants to, they'll pass a discount on to our audience. I think they save maybe 5% or something. They don't have huge profit margins. They're a tiny company. And so same with Seek Outside. They have a smaller discount because a lot of that stuff's manufactured stateside, made in America and all that. And so they don't have good margins. So 5% is a pretty good discount, and it's a great deal. So if you use the code GRITTY, you'll save if you want one. But if you have a backpack, I say this all the time, if you have a backpack that works, that's not broken, don't fix what's not broken. If you have something you really love, don't go out and spend more money, But if you're shopping or if you just have the money to burn, I highly recommend the Initial Ascent backpack. Next was the Western Mountaineering sleeping bag. Mm-hmm. That one I got from Seek Outside, from Kevin Tim over at Seek Outside. Remember when I did the podcast with him about his backpack and its design? We kind of hit all the bases on that.
At the end of it, you talked about the sleeping bag.
At the end, we talked about the sleeping bag. He dumped water on it, said it's his favorite bag. He thought the gold standard in the backcountry sleeping bags kind of thing. So I got the Badger, I think is what it is. Western Mountaineering Badger. I think it's 20-degree bag. And so Ryan and I have been running the Stone Glacier Chilkoot, and I like the bag. It's a great sleeping bag. My complaints have been consistent about it, and that's mostly the cut, right? Mm-hmm. The cut,
tapering at the bottom.
Tapers like tight at the knees and the foot box. So it's almost as if from the feet to the knees, you're in a tight little tube, and then it flares out and it's really big. Well, I got manly parts, and if my feet are together, the manly parts are crushed and drowned and,
if your feet are
suffocating.
Together, that means your thighs are together.
Right. So I need a foot box that's bigger. I need that taper to go down, and I don't need as much taper as they have, or as much space as they have in the upper bag as is provided. I'd rather have that material pushed lower and then gradually taper to the bottom. All this is to say, the Western Mountaineering bag has a better cut. In my opinion, it is a more comfortable cut. It's the right cut. The Stone Glacier Chilkoot is not the right cut. Not for my body, not for my size, not the right cut. So right off the bat, I'm a big fan of the Western Mountaineering simply because it's more comfortable. I can spread my legs. There's more airflow, more comfort. I don't feel like my feet are tied together and my thighs are touching all night and I wake up sweaty and gross. I don't get that because of the cut. Now let's talk materials. I believe that the Chilkoot has some treated down, and there's a video where they take that bag and they throw it inside a cooler with water and they just like drown this sleeping bag. I think Lyle does it over at Stone. They pull it out, they put it on a scale and they weigh it and show how much water it didn't absorb and that it's pretty water resilient, and they dry it out not too much later. They do a sleeping bag test real time for you to watch, and it's pretty cool, which would lead me to believe that that Chilkoot is dang tough and that it can get a lot of moisture and still perform. So I haven't seen that kind of test done with the Western Mountaineering bag. But I did use it out there at on these hunts, and we did get, especially the last few days of a hunt, super wet. Like the humidity was high, and there was winter storm came in. It was cold, and the perfect blend of 30 degrees to 25 degrees to 30 degrees and back again. Inside of our tent was practically raining. The outside of the teepee ended up having inches and inches of snow. In fact, the teepee collapsed on Mark, live to say, because he didn't kick the snow off throughout the night. Although Ryan and I woke up and were like, oh, this teepee's touching my face. And we pushed it away. It was just a wet, awful snow. Okay. Well, when it's like that and it's pushing in and half of your teepee's like just straining under the weight and the stakes want to pop, you're going to have, and it's wet inside. Every time we hit the side, it was like raining indoors. Well, my bag, especially my feet, they tend to touch the wall because I'm keeping my head as dry as I can. The bag soaked up as much water as I could expect it to soak up on an average horrible night with terrible condensation. And that was the real test, because I did the same thing in New Zealand with my Chilkoot. It was really bad there too. The humidity and the cold together, it's like some climates just give you the wet and the cold at the same time. And my Chilkoot bed went pretty flat there, you know. Now, it took a few days, but it did, and my feet got cold. Since then, it's gone flat a number of times toward the foot box, and I get a little cold down there. Now, I only have like 1 or 2 real nights where it got super wet with the Western Mountaineering bag. It's all anecdotal, but it performed well. My feet, the bag went flat a little bit, but I couldn't tell. In my Chilkoot, I could tell. So, I was impressed. I was quite happy with it. Even though it got quite wet, it still kept loft. My Chilkoot got wet and kind of collapsed. Now, Ryan mentioned but the bag, I haven't hammered the bag over and over. I haven't got it dirty. I haven't got oils and grease and stuff in it. And maybe, once I do that, because he's like, my Chilkoot didn't do that either. When I first got it, it would do what your bag is doing right now when it was new, but it's been washed and used and heavily, now it doesn't quite, maybe the coating doesn't quite keep the water out as much as it did in the beginning. It's just age. Because I'm not comparing a new Chilkoot necessarily to a new Western Mountaineer. I'm just recalling my experiences with the other one. But I can say it didn't lose its loft after all this, and it did perform how I want it. Like, maybe it does decline in performance down the road, but I like it better. Period. I like it much better than the Chilkoot.
Ooh, Ryan's gonna fight you, Brian.
Hey, I told him when we were out there.
That's the greatest sleeping bag, no demand.
I told him when we were out there, I like this one better.
Chilkoot's the bee's knees.
It is a great bag. It is a great bag. I just like the Western Mountaineering better. Big part of it is, again, I think the materials and the design and all that are probably very comparable, to be honest. They're both really well built, great products, right? But I felt like it breathed a little better. I didn't have as much stinkiness and sweat inside, and it kept its loft and it got wet a lot, and it still performed. It got damp, and so, but on cut alone, it's a winner. On cut alone, but I just needed to have comparable performance and materials to the Chilkoot, and in my opinion, it's comparable. So where they're both almost identically performing the same in terms of durability and all of that.
And this is the Chilkoot and the Western
Mountaineering Badger. So where they kind of are performing at about the same level, but one has a much better cut, I'm going to take the one with the better cut. Now, the one I was running was a 20-degree bag, and I think the Chilkoot is a 15. And again, I like that Chilkoot. I think that the Chilkoot is more like a 5 or a 10-degree bag. I think that it's actually considerably warmer than the rating it professes. Like Stone, I got to hand it to them. They are very conservative in their warmth rating. And so I think it's a touch warmer than it really says. Like I said, a 5-degree or a 10-degree bag is what it really is, even though it's labeled as 15 degrees. The Western Mountaineering is a 20-degree bag. So the 20-degree bag, so if I were to account, I would say that let's just say the Stone is really a 10-degree bag, right? And the Western Mountaineering is kind of accurate. It's about a 20-degree bag. They weigh the same. So you are getting a little more performance in terms of warmth for the same amount of weight out of a Chilkoot.
So I'm looking up the prices between these two.
I didn't even look.
So Stone Glacier, the Chilkoot's about $600 brand new.
Yeah.
And the Western Mountaineering Badger is around $700 to $750.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little bit more. But there's also Western Mountaineering has a bunch of Badger models.
Oh.
I guess they're
and they get more expensive the more What's the base price of the Badger?
I'm not sure because they ship to a bunch of different retailers, and they all have a bunch of different prices right now.
You can look it up at Seek Outside. Seek Outside sells it. They're a
Oh,
retailer. So you could check it out there. And Kevin did say, hey, if you like the bag and you recommend it, send people to us if you can, because they could use the business. So they are a licensed seller, Seek Outside. So if you do want the bag, check it out there. I also prefer the feel of the bag. Like the Chilkoot is real silky almost, and lots of folds. And the Badger is a lot more hardened and smooth. The material is a little, and so when I unzip it and open it, I can like sweep it off. It's a little firmer. I felt like it was a little cleaner than the Chilkoot was.
So I'm looking at it, and at Seek Outside, they've got 5 different sleeping bags. The Mountaineering Badger is actually $5.95.
Okay, so the one that I have,
it's $5 cheaper than the Chilkoot.
So they're both $600. Both the same price.
They got a couple other models, but yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with either bag, you know. But hey, I just thought about this. If you use the code GRITTY, you get 5% off. I don't know if that's just for shelters that Seek Outside or if that's for everything. I think it's anything, any order you put in.
I think so.
So if you use the code GRITTY at Seek Outside, you actually save 5%.
You guys let us know.
So what would that be? 10% off would be of 600 would be $60. So save $30. It's not a lot, but it's something. Cool. So that's that. Now, the other thing that I did is I ran the Big Agnes Q-Core air pad, and I actually liked it. It wasn't cold till the last day. My issue with the Q-Core really has been that it's a little heavy, and it doesn't have an insulation rating on it. So it just says, I think, for multi-season or whatever. But I know for a fact the Neo Air is an R4. When I lay on the 2, the Neo Air in the snow and the ice is way warmer than the Agnes Q-Core, period. The Agnes Q-Core is like twice as thick, but it doesn't matter if there's no insulation in the baffles to keep out the cold. So I'm way warmer but it's springtime and it was hot. So actually the Q-Core was a great pad for spring, the Big Agnes Q-Core. Now the one I had was too narrow. I'm wide. It wasn't the 25 incher, whatever that next size is, but it went right up the armpits, So my arms just fell off the side. But the sleeping bag kind of kept them up a little bit if I was tucked in, but I needed the wider. But I did like the pad. One of the reasons I decided to test it, because it's been in my kit for a while, because it didn't have a valve when I first went to use it, but there was a spare valve, and I found it in the stuff sack. So I fixed it. So it's just been sitting there, and I'm like, I need to get around to using it at some point. Well, my Neo Air was losing air throughout the hunt the first week or two, and I'm like, it'd take all night to lose the air, but it was losing slowly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so then I tried to find the hole, but couldn't. It's going to need to go in a bathtub immersion and whatever. So then I'm like, all right, this second leg of the hunt, I'm going to go on the Q-Core. So I grabbed the Big Agnes Q-Core. I ran that. And it was narrow. In fact, I bought it from REI in the box. That was the wide.
Oh, but it wasn't
actually a wide. So it was mismarked. It also didn't have a valve. Somebody returned that sucker, and I got screwed. And I should have taken it back way back when, but whatever. So I've got this thing. I used it, and on day 3 or 4, it got a hole in it, and it was slowly losing air. And so for the next 3 or 4 days, it was just losing air. And I tried to find the hole in that one and couldn't find it either. So I got 2 air pads with holes. Ryan's like, at some point, Brian, you would learn that it's not the pads, but rather the ground cloth. And it's like, duh. But I've run lots of different ground cloths. The one that Ryan is running, I don't think Seek even sells it on their website. Seek Outside Ground Cloth. They have the Maddie McMatt face. But I did not see
Fearlessly Floorless Ground Sheet.
Yeah, show it to me. Is it look like Tyvek or something?
It looks like Tyvek, but with their logo printed on it.
Yeah. So that might be that's probably the same one. I looked for it the other day and I didn't see it.
It's just white.
Yeah.
Looks like Tyvek rolls up.
Yeah. It's not all that versatile, but it definitely will help with the punctures more than the different stuff I've been running. Sil nylon is what I was running for a while, and the Cuban fiber. But I also think I'm just, I sleep manly, and so I'm hard on those pads,
How does one sleep
manly? Just rough, rolls around, gets comfortable.
Lots of grunting.
Right. So who knows? But I have destroyed, I destroy every air pad. Ryan and I were talking about it, and we were thinking, why hasn't a company really come out with an air pad that can't be popped? Rather than making it so hyper lightweight, why not make that material that's on the bottom half of one of those things? Why doesn't the air pad incorporate this fearless cloth or whatever, or the Maddie McMatt face material? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mess around with some stuff, but I like the Maddie McMatt face material that they have at Seek, and it also it's tough. You're not going to get a hole in that. The Fearless ground cloth thing, that's also an option,
and it's cheap. It's like $12 a roll.
Yeah, that's how Tyvek is. Yeah. It's a little bit thicker than Tyvek. It's like Tyvek, but like double the thickness.
So Maddie McMatt face it's just EVA foam.
Yeah.
Just cut to a certain measurement.
So what I want to do is I want to take that foam, I think, and I want to cut it to fit. I have an X-Therm that I'll get in the mail any day now. A Thermarest X-Therm. That's what Ryan has been rocking the last 3 hunts, I think. And I think officially it is the pad to have, because I think it is the cat's meow. It's got the insulation. It has a blow sack that he just like fills up like we do for our alpaca rafts. And you just like squash that thing 2 or 3 times and the thing's full of air. And it's tapered and cut to your fit. So you got wide shoulders but narrow knees. So you're not carrying any excess pad that you don't need. You don't need a square pad. You don't need a rectangular pad. You need one that's shaped like your body. So it's efficiently designed. So I think I'm going to rock that. It's also got a more durable finish than the Neolite, than the Thermarest Neolite, which is what I've been using. But if I take some of that other material, I think I'm going to cut that Maddie McMatt face in the shape of the pad. And I'm going to put some Velcro on a couple of those spots. So I can just put my pad right onto that pad.
It's not going to go nowhere.
And I don't need any extra cloth, any extra foam or any that'll just protect the pad. Because I always bring a Cuban fiber tarp or something else that I throw on the ground. And I like it to be spread out wide because I throw lots of stuff on top of it. My backpack lid that has all my stuff in it. I'll throw, my cook pot, my jacket, different things on the pad. I don't want it on the ground, especially when the ground's wet or there's bugs. And the bigger that space, also, I feel like it's harder for ticks to make the journey onto the mat and then across than when you're right there. So I like to spread that Cuban fiber tarp out. And I think with that Maddie McMatt face cut and Velcro to the pad, boom, it'll set right on there. It won't slip because it's kind of a rubber pad, and because it's Velcroed together, it's going to hang in the right spot. And I don't have any excess of that pad that I need. It might be a really strong setup. We'll have to check the weight, but I don't think the mat's not that heavy. Especially if you were to cut it, because it's actually quite wide and it's like 4 feet wide and so long. Well, I don't need that. and I can get rid of a lot of that pad, and just have it be the exact size that I need. And I want to mess around with it a little bit more too, because that rubber EVA stuff, it might not slide as much. Sometimes you're on a little slope and your pad wants to just go for a ride. Especially the smooth pads without any grip at all. So that was my take on that. Working on the pad system, whatever. My Cuban fiber tarp we use all the time. We use it in the hot sun. We used it to keep the rain off us. We climb under it all the time. It's 6 ounces and it's like 8 by 10 or something. We throw some trekking poles under it, stake it down with some light string. That thing is just, you got to have a tarp. I just don't know why you would hunt without one, and it's 6 ounces. I mean, it's 6 ounces with real estate bigger than this table. It's just a lot of coverage. And multiple times, storm rolls in, Ryan and I jump under there. We sit under the tarp. We don't even set it up. We just sit there. We're whatever. We're hanging out. We wait for that storm to pass. 30 minutes go by. We pop out. We shake off the tarp. I roll it up, stuff it back in my bag. We often don't even carry rain gear because up in those mountains especially, it's not pouring rain. It just comes and leaves, And so we have 6 ounce tarp. It's a lot better than packing full on rain gear. So a lot of times we'll go up for a 2-day hunt or whatever. We look at the forecast. We're like, we don't need rain gear. We'll leave the rain gear at the bottom and just bring the tarp. And when a little squall comes, we climb under it and we come back out. But in the hot sun, it saved Ryan from dying because he can't handle the sun. It just helped. Just helps. We did the same thing to break down an animal, in a hot sun. You can throw a tarp over the top of you, and that it's just something about a little bit of shade, makes a huge difference. I used to carry with me on some hunts in the hot weather a Go Light umbrella back when they had those things. It was cheesy as heck. But once I had that umbrella, I used it all the time for shade because it's reflective, but I'd use it for the rain as well. And when I videotaped back in the day, it would be underneath that little umbrella. They don't make them anymore. And I think they're genius, though. I think that you'd glass under them a lot more. I think if they made them, we could bring them back.
I wonder who we could call and talk to about
they're actually a lot more useful than you think. Lot more useful than you think. But anyway, what else? Food. Talk a little bit about food. We mentioned this earlier on another discussion, something about the food that we bring. That we're looking for food that's very
nutrient dense,
lightweight, but also
tasty.
But you'd never get tired of it.
Yeah, that's I think the hardest one,
and that's unique to an individual. And then also that doesn't cause inflammation, right? Like a lot of guys will bring up foods that taste great or Snickers or whatever, but that's going to leave you with stuck joints the next day. Really, sugar is your enemy. And quality fats and nutritional fats are your friend, and they keep everything healthy and strong. Get the right proteins. So we talked about this a little bit before. Let's talk about let's talk about just breakfast, lunch, dinner right off the bat. Typically what I'm having is this trip I had off-grid oatmeal, which is delicious. I had like the peanut butter banana and some other ones that they were test batches, like, hey guys, let's experiment on you. And so we were running that a little bit and tasting it. And some were a little weird, some were great. And then I tested, and then I was I had a bunch of Heather's Choice buckwheat. I had probably half my pack was those. And I like the
banana one,
banana nutmeg. And I like them all. But some people don't like buckwheat. I grew up in a house full of like whole grain cracked wheat and stuff, and I don't know, the texture and the taste. Like I kind of like it. I crave it. So, but one thing you can do is drop a little dark chocolate in that banana nutmeg. It's
Kick it up
pretty
a
dang.
notch.
Yeah, you get like like one square and you break it up, or you put those. Suzanne has this gourmet dark chocolate chips, and I'll grab like a couple tablespoons of those, and I'll sprinkle those in my oatmeal or my Heather's Choice banana nutmeg breakfast. You want it to be something you enjoy, but it doesn't have to be overly sweet or too much sugar. Whatever. I think it cuts the dark chocolate a little bit, but somehow a perfect combination for me. I bring peanut butter bars. Perfect peanut butter bars. I'm addicted to them. Have been since we started the podcast. Too bad we don't have a deal with them. Amen. I don't know how many I've sold throughout my life, but perfect bars. We get them at Costco. I order in bulk as well online. But I especially like the peanut butter ones and the peanut butter chocolate chip. Those are my two go-to. I love those. I'll eat the almond ones. I like the regular chocolate. I like them all, but those are my favorites. I tend to pack those the most. Heather's Choice Packaroons. I bring a couple of those a day. I like the vanilla. I like the orange ones. I like them all pretty much, but they're dense, lightweight, filled with nutrition. They got the right blend of carbs and fats, the coconut, the almond flours, all that kind of stuff. It's a great snack. It's perfect. It gives you just what you need. They're subtle, not too much sugar in those. The perfect bars are high in fat. There's not a lot of sugar there either. Some say too much fat, but I just handle them great. Mm-hmm. They're great. So the other thing is jerky. We make our own jerky mostly, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I run my own beef, my own jerky. I make it in the dehydrator. Ryan makes it in the dehydrator. We're just cutting up pieces of meat.
There's recipes on his website. We've done podcasts on jerky a bunch. But what do you go to, like, if you don't have time to make jerky or Suzanne forgets it? What's your go-to then?
She's been running to Costco and buying just all natural jerky, whatever they have. Something that doesn't have any nitrates or anything in it, that's as natural or clean as possible. Because a lot of cured meats can have so many chemicals and garbage in them.
I opened up a bag of Kirkland brand turkey jerky the other day. Mm-hmm. Opened the bag and the smell hit me, and I literally dropped the bag. The smell was so harsh.
Yeah, I just try to stick with clean products, and sometimes we'll go to the health food store and I'll pick up snack sticks and stuff that are just as healthy as possible. I don't like the fakey processed jerkies and meats, So what are those like? What are those Dave's sticks? Are they Dave's
Links?
Are they Dave's Links or whatever? Dukes. I think they're Dukes. Dukes. Those are. I love those things.
They're like crap.
A few of those, and then I bring Tillamook cheese. I like the sharp cheddar and like the mild cheddar or
the white cheddar.
I like the white one, yeah, and the yellow squares, rectangles, and then Baby Bells. We bring the wax covered Baby Bells. It's funny. We were on this hunt, and Adam Weatherby's like, "Are you sure you could be eating that? It's like not in a refrigerator." Peanut butter bars are the same way. Yeah. They're supposed to be, but they say 7 to 10 days outside of a refrigerator, I think, now on the packaging.
I think human beings are pretty adept at eating rotten food.
Look.
More so than we think.
Ryan and I were joking about it. We have had Baby Bells out of in our backpacks for 5 months, and we crack them open and still eat them. And
it's technically cheese's mold.
Yeah.
Molded milk.
You'll know when it's bad. Mm-hmm. You will know. But if it tastes fine, you're pretty much good to go.
Mm-hmm. If it still tastes just cheesy.
Yeah, there's a reason why in all these adventure novels from back in the day they bring hardtack, bread, and they'll bring jerky. Cheese, like old cheese and dried meats. It's kind of that holds true today, just like it does in The Hobbit. Okay, so
have you tried the Gouda?
Gouda, Baby Bells,
yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that one.
Yeah. Get what you like, right? Mm-hmm. Get what I like to mix it up with the cheeses because that's a great way.
Reduced fat nonsense. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't do that. No. That's not what's the point of that. But yeah, get the rich fatty stuff. But all those cheeses just are great. So you have cheese and meat. basically. And then I brought, because I have that Harvest Right freeze dryer, Mom and Addie and everybody has made for me. My sisters have provided me with enough dried fruit to last
forever
a while. So I've been taking 2 to 3 servings of dried fruit. So I'll take a peach, I'll take a banana, and peaches.
There's a ton of apples,
apples,
peaches.
and plums. Plums are they have plums that wherever they got those are like crack. And so I'll bring 2 or 3. So I'll have an apple, and I'll have a banana and a pear. You
gotta be careful about how much freeze dried fruit.
Yeah, when you first start, you need to adapt. You need to have like a little freeze dried fruit,
and you also just got to kind of be conscious of how much is going in your mouth, because it's easy to eat 12 plums.
Oh yeah, right. Because they're not chips. You know, you have to be careful. That's why they're already pre-divided into groups. So this is one pear, and because when a plum is done, it's like 4 squares the size of a golf ball, dehydrated. You pop that in your mouth, and you're like, you eat 2 of those though, or you eat 5. It's no different than if you ate 5 real plums. The fiber's still all there.
It's gonna find a way out.
Exactly, and it's not good when it does. So with the fruit, in fact, what I like to do, and I was with Livesay, and I'm like, Mark, take this peach, which is from here in Fruit Heights, where they grow the most glorious peaches on earth. Plop that peach in your mouth and just take a little drink of this liquid here, and it rehydrates like instantly. And it's like a fresh peach in summertime in your mouth at the top of the mountain bear hunting. And you just do one peach at a time. You just savor it as you're glassing until that peach is gone. Same thing with the apple. The plums didn't rehydrate well. They're better eaten crunchy. Bananas, no bueno. And in fact, bananas I prefer dehydrated over freeze-dried. Freeze-dried sticks to your teeth. Dehydrated are perfect little chewy discs,
and they're
or
like
crunchy
creamy when you chew them.
Yeah, I love dehydrated bananas. I don't like freeze-dried ones. So little tricks, like little differences.
Yeah,
you know. But you need to keep your bananas. Like one dehydrated banana is like a little tiny stack of like 6 quarters.
Yeah.
And if you can easily eat 8 or 9 of those if you're not rationing as well. Okay, so that's the dried fruit discussion. Bringing that, and then we'll make those fruit leathers that are made out of half sweet potato, half apple, or half pear sauce, half sweet potato, and we eat a couple of those often, and then. I guess I bring shop blocks sometimes, the Cliff shop blocks. I just like them.
They're awesome. Again, something else that I want to try, because it's basically just made out of tapioca syrup and flavorings.
Yeah.
We're going to crash up some caffeine pills in there and make our own.
So the honey stinger gels as well, those are delicious, like gummies. And then I actually like the Pro Bar energy gummies. They're made by Pro Bar. I forget what they're called. I got a box of them at the house. I just gummies that are lower in sugar, but are just easy to consume and give you a quick carbohydrate boost. I just like those because sometimes I'll exercise so hard and we'll go all night and hike the next day and I was telling Mark Brownlee or Mark Livesay this. Mark, like the reason I have Pedialyte in my bag and I have lots of liquid IV, and I bring double what I would say pack triple what you think you're going to need if you're doing a grueling hike. Most people don't bring enough like hydration stuff. Bring it all and then some. I use so much. So anyway, if I get overexerted or I get so weak I can't process, like I lose my appetite and I'm not really able to eat. It's just like you ran a marathon or you ran a race, but you still have like 5 miles to go. What can you keep down? What can you eat and keep down? Everything's coming out in diarrhea. That's happened to me when we've just really gone hard because this is a physical test of physical fitness, I'll wind it back, and then what I'll end up having on those sorts of days when I'm just, the digestion's shut down because I'm just overexerted. Pedialyte, Liquid IV, they're both sugar, and they both have a lot of electrolytes and things in it that sort of potassium, things like that are really depleted that help me. The gels, I'll hammer up on gels. I might take the gels from day 2, 3, or 4, or day 8, 9, and 10 that I had planned on eating, and I'll shift them all to the same day. So I won't have them in future days, but I don't need them in future days. Today's a day that I need to take a break from the other kind of more digestive, intense type foods and jump back to gels and easy to digest. Like, just pretend like you're sick, and weak, and you need some gels. And so
being soft on the tummy.
And so I'll do that, and I'll eat. So I like to bring a lot of those little gels and a lot of that easy to digest stuff, and the different liquid drinks, Pedialyte and Liquid IV.
Bone broth?
And bone broth. So that's what I was going to get to next. I start sipping a lot of bone broth as well. There's 10 grams of protein in each Lono Life bone broth packet. I've been buying the tubs at this point instead of the packets because
and they're cute little tubs.
The tubs cost way less.
Way less.
Like
way
a
less.
fraction of the price.
You get like 8 more servings or something.
Way more. I think it's more than 8, but you get significantly, it's just cheaper in the tubs.
And they go buy one half one off on the tubs. They never do on the sticks.
Right. So I've been buying the tubs, and I've just been packing in the tubs. I can guess how many days I'll be gone, and I might split the tub up so it's not a full tub. It's kind of what I've been doing with the E-Charge from Stealthy Nutrition. The other thing I'm pounding a lot of is Mountain Ops Ignite. I'm just having Ignite 2 packets a day, sometimes 3, when I'm just living on caffeine and liquids and gels. I kind of ramp up the caffeine intake. And then, like I said, the broth. So I always bring the lotus noodles, because they don't weigh much, the rice noodles. And then I might, if I can't have like a Heather's Choice salmon chowder because the stomach's just not up for it, do noodles and broth are king. That's one reason we have chicken noodle soup. So I'll bring those lotus packets of rice noodles and the broth. And then we've been bringing extra salt, like Himalayan salt, pink Himalayan salt, and others that are great for cooking and eating, just to add a little touch of salt to get the bone broth and the ramen just to where you want it. Some people like less salt, more salt, but I find that the bone broth without the salt isn't quite enough salt. If I mix it really rich, the bone broth, but I want it thinner, but with a little more salt.
Yeah.
That's how I think it tastes perfect. So bring salt. Bring just a little tiny bit of salt that you can add to everything. And then also, there's just something about the salt that you crave because you're sweating and exerting so much energy. So moving on to meals, I'm packing in there, I've been using the off-grid, not the off-grid, the Heather's Choice. I like the salmon chowder. I like the African peanut stew. Now, this is all personal. Like, entrees that I like, other people won't like. I can't eat half the ones Ryan eats. They're way too hot. They'd burn a hole in me. Too spicy. And then Mom Spaghetti at Heather's Choice. I haven't tested that one yet. Heather's great. We have an affiliate code with her, and if you use the code GRITTY, you get a discount with her. But those are the entrees I like with her. The chicken mole, if you want to burn a hole in your soul, that's a great one for people.
Have you had the dark
Ryan
chili?
And others seem to love it. Some people love it. The chili, they love it. I can't do that stuff. It's too hot. I really, really like the Peak Refuel meals. They're expensive, though, if you don't make them on your own. This season, I haven't been able to I made all my meals last year. I've just been too busy to make meals this time. So I've been using a lot more Heather, a lot more salmon chowder. And I like to add those Tillamook white cheddar cheese or the Baby Bells, 2 or 3 of those to a salmon chowder. Any meal, actually. I like to dump a couple cheeses in there, let it melt. And it just, especially those that have a little extra spice, the cheese cuts the spice a little bit for me.
Yep.
And I think they're all too spicy because I'm a weenie. And then the Peak Refuel, one of my favorites lately has been the granola breakfast with all the strawberries and berries in it.
Yeah, I've had that before. That's good.
It's not hot. You just add cold water to it. I'm so lazy. At the end of the day, I'm tired. Like I said, I don't want to do anything. I'd add some water to it, shake it up, and you eat it right away. And it's just like cold cereal with tons of berries in it. But it's as much as any other. It's like 500 or 600 calories, and the meals are usually 800 calories or something. I like the fettuccine Alfredo made by Backpacker's Pantry, and I like the one made by Peak Refuel. I like Peak Refuel better than the rest, but I'll kind of shop based on the deals that are there. But I like to keep it. I like to switch around for meals. But I have been eating for dinner. I've been having the breakfast scramble from Peak Refuel, and I've been having the granola berry a lot for dinners. And then I have Heather's Choice salmon chowder, and I have like the occasional like chicken Alfredo. But I'm not a big dinner guy. You know, looking at my list of food, I like to eat more peanut butter bars than more dinners. So for me, I'm not a big dinner. At the end of the day, I've already kind of got my calories in for the day, so that when it comes to nighttime, 400 or 500 calories, a few squirts of melatonin spray,
and you're out.
And I'm out. And that's kind of how I like to roll.
So there's about 13 minutes left on this card.
Okay. So the other thing that I like that I've had before, I joke about, goes back to what's highly digestible, but it's a little high in the sugar. I like Smashmallows. And Ryan is always like looking down his nose at me, and then he's always eating a whole bunch, you know.
Yeah.
The trip. But he has like I like the chocolate chip mint ones. I like the churros even. I like the strawberry. I mean, I like them all.
Dude.
But just a marshmallow.
That minty Rice Krispie nonsense your wife makes. She just needs to make trays of that and sell it.
So you
should quit doing gritty and sell those.
I like
fantastic.
the Smashmallow Rice Krispies that you buy. They're less sugar, little higher quality ingredients, and they're just a nice treat to have. Not a ton of calories, low in the sugar. Now the Rice Krispies that my wife makes, those are inflammation causing gut bombs.
Yes.
But I always bring a few because they're delicious. She makes me these Rice Krispies with mint and chocolate chip, and I'll take that square and I'll keep it in the pack. And there'll be days where I don't eat them. 2-3 days where I don't eat any Rice Krispies, and then I'll eat all 4 in the same day. It goes back to when I need it, and when I don't, I don't. And it goes back to digestibility, exhaustion, where I'm at, and I just need to just slam 4 Rice Krispies and some bone broth noodles and some shot blocks and ProBar gels and Pedialyte and Liquid IV and Mountain Ops Ignite, and that's my diet. That's my thing for the day. Then I'm back on the cheese and the jerky and the peanut butter bars and the packaroons and all of that later, right? But you got to all that stuff. We learned over time that when you're hunting out there day after day after day, it's one thing to go 10 days. It's one thing to go 5 days, right? Beat yourself up. But we're trying to go 10 to 15 in a row in the backcountry. That means you need to have your nutrition dialed. You need to have it up there. When you go further on, today, you come home for 2 days and you go back for another 15. That just means you got to be really dialed because there's just a lot. You're going to keep hammering on your body, and you need the right stuff. So when I got back, Ryan and I were just talking the other day. He's like, I came back from this hunt and it was like, I'm not licking my wounds.
You don't seem beat up.
I'm kind of ready to just go again.
And I've seen the footage, and you guys did do a lot.
Epic hikes and climbs, so one of the things I've been doing, I like to make sure that my food is kind of like this. I tweak it. I fit my needs. I'm bringing. That's kind of an example of what I'll bring. I brought a little more food this time than I did last year. and I had a little leftover food each time.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned from experience that if I don't bring a little extra food, we often end up staying an extra day or 2 or 3 days. And so I've decided to bring a little extra so that when we say 10 days, Ryan really means 12.
Mm-hmm.
And worst case is I have a little
probably
extra
bringing 12
food.
days worth of food.
Yeah. He seems to have food when the 10 days are there, when I don't. So I've adjusted that a little bit. But I've been taking some things I like to take with me. I like I said, Mountain Ops Ignite supplements. I like to have a little caffeine, quite a bit of caffeine. I like a couple different flavors. That's unique to everybody. And I like the Slumber for sleeping when I feel like making a hot drink, but I also like the Stealthy Nutrition CBD sleep spray that I've been using. Now that stuff doesn't taste good. Mark Livesay is spraying it in his mouth. He's like, and then he take another squirt, take another squirt. He's kind of addicted to it because it works and it's nice and it's convenient. So I like that on days where I want to sit down, really enjoy a drink, and it has a little more, the Slumber has a little more sleep recovery type stuff in it. Some of those ZMA blends that help your body relax and muscle tissues heal a little bit. So it's nice to have a little of both. I'll have a little Hot Ignite if I want something in the morning, charged cocoa or something. I have a little caffeine with a little chocolate. Ryan's a coffee drinker. He drinks a lot of coffee up there. I like, I've been taking the Stealthy Nutrition CBD gummies. Those have been money for me. I think I've talked about that on a couple other podcasts, but I really think that's making a big difference for us. I like the Stealthy Nutrition krill oil. You got to check that out. That's good stuff. I use the calcium Schiff. Calcium.
The Schiff brand of calcium.
Yes. It's SCHIFF, calcium. I can't live without that stuff. It is a game changer for me. Now, others like Ryan, others in our family, like with my mom, grandpa, me, we need it. Somehow I don't get it from my foods as well. You give me that, dude. I'm over there doing cleans and jerks in the gym daily and without any knee or joint pain or anything. I've been talking about that for years. Added to a fish oil, but I got rid of the fish oil and I just use Stealthy Nutrition krill now. I think it's better for you. A lot of risks with using fish oils because of how they extract it, whatever the fish has been eating or exposed to, heavy metals, lots of things. It goes rancid and is in a pill and you don't even know it. You get a lot of fish burp, so that means it's probably rancid. So it's not doing what you think it's doing. So Ryan and Hillary really got that dialed with their Stealthy Nutrition krill. And then I've been using turmeric from Stealthy Nutrition, and I've been using the prebiotic, probiotic stuff that are immune health stuff for gut health. It's all been working, all of the stuff together. I'm getting a little buzz from my Mountain Ops stuff. I'm getting a little gut health with Hillary and Ryan stuff, and the CBD is keeping the joints good and the krill. Man, I feel better than I felt in years, and I've got the food. I feel good, So, so that's just kind of, I guess, an overview, just a high level overview of kind of what we're taking in the food wise. I don't have it in front of me, but you get the idea. There's other things that Ryan and I both pack, but I'd say these are kind of the foundation items for me. Ryan has another set of things that he'll bring and foods he likes. He's always kind of experimenting with a lot of different things. The Backcountry Fuel Box is a great way to figure out what you might like. Cody Rich, our buddy over there at Cody Rich with the Backcountry Fuel Box, if you use the code GRITTY, you save over there, you get signed up. You save quite a bit. And you'll get that box shipped to you every month.
It's got a grab bag of stuff in it.
It's got a bunch of stuff in it. So check out that at Backcountry Fuel Box. I've mentioned it many times. Sign up, use the code GRITTY, helps us, helps them, helps you. But you'll get all the stuff that comes in a box. And at first I was real skeptical. I love it now. And there's a few things that I've come on that now I've adopted that I really love, like those Pro Bar gels I got from the Backcountry Fuel Box. There's a few other chocolates and other things from there that I like to add there's these like chocolate covered hemp seeds that are really good.
Ooh, that sounds good.
I don't know. It's a great way to find new and fun stuff to throw into your grab bag. But yeah. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I hope it was useful. Let us know. All the links to a lot of this stuff or to our partners and affiliates are in the links below in the description field of the videos on our YouTube channel. You can go to briancall.com and find everything you need there on the podcast page, all the links. And so I think that's it. Anything else, Brent?
Nope, we're good.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Go check us out at the Gritty Stealthy Community, locals.com. Also, we have a lot of exclusive content over there for people who are paying members. That community is growing. It's really cool to see it. And we're going to have lots of extra. We engage directly with everybody over there as much as we can. So over there, there's some cool content that only subscribers are getting. And that's going to be by way of film as well. We'll always throw out a few things that are bonus over there and hope to ramp that up considerably over time, especially things that YouTube likes to censor. So thanks for tuning in. Stay gritty.